And I personally think this game looks like a lot of fun. It's really cool because this is actually a kingdom building game where players are going to be building up their own individual kingdoms. And you're going to be building towns and fields and using cards to represent different advisors and units, with some of them being more on the aggressive side, while others might be more on the defensive, while others might just be more focused on your economy. But a really neat aspect here is that your main kingdom board is going to be represented by a whole bunch of different boards that you'll be able to swap out and improve throughout the game. These are going to be located at the bottom of your player board, with players using those for resource generation and to perform different actions and assign units to throughout the game. And a really fun feature that comes along with this is that as you're swapping out these boards for other boards as you improve on your kingdom, this is actually going to be coming with some additional visual cues because each board will have more artwork depicting your kingdom growing and expanding as you swap those boards into your overall panorama. And this image shows that happening, and you can also see how you can add and expand to those individual boards by adding cards below that section of your kingdom. But this is a game that plays over several ages that you're going to be tracking on this longer central board here that's going to be at the center of the table. And then at the start of each age, players are going to be drawing 3 quest cards and then choosing one to add to their kingdom. This is going to be dictating the ideology and the goals of your kingdom, but it's also going to be granting you with certain strengths. Players are also going to be drafting cards in order to gain new cards into their deck or their tableau, which they'll be trying to synergize with their goals and the other cards. Each age in this game is going to be broken into a few different phases, which is all outlined on each player's player board, with the first phase being the build phase. And it's during this point in the game where players will be able to spend any resources that they have in order to build the cards and units that they have in their hand. Whenever you do that, you put it into your tableau, which is located on the right-hand side of your board. But the cool thing about this tableau is that this is actually a moving tableau. Each of the cards that you're able to build do take some time in order to be built, and every single round you're going to be moving all your cards down one space on that tableau, and then once they completely come off your board, that means that they are fully built and you can put them into your kingdom. There are some ways that you can expedite this, either by spending resources or performing special actions, or even performing additional actions by exhausting some of your townsfolk. This does make you more vulnerable to attacks if you choose to take this method, but you can restore those townsfolk later by providing resources in order to feed them. But once players have taken all the actions that they want or can, you're going to be moving into the event phase where each player is going to be choosing a stance in secret. And there's 3 different types of stances that players can take. They can either take a worker stance, a defensive stance, or an attack stance. All the players choose these in secret and then simultaneously reveal, and anyone who chose the worker stance is going to be able to assign that to one of their kingdom boards, increasing that specific area of your kingdom's production once you get into the production phase at the end of the round. For anyone that chose the attack phase, they'll be able to attack any in-game threats or even the other opponents. And in order to do that, you're going to be taking any of your fully built units, adding their strength to your side, and then trying to overcome the strength of your opponent. And that's going to, of course, gain you all sorts of different resources if you're attacking the in-game threats. But otherwise, you'll be able to take certain items from your opponents within the specifications of the rules. But of course, you can also choose the defense stance, which is going to protect you against the other players, but also against those in-game threats, because there's going to be points in the game where threats start to become very looming, and you do want to be prepared for them because they can be quite catastrophic. And that comes into play at the end of this phase where you're going to be revealing that event card, which can cause all sorts of in-game effects, looming threats, or even actual attacks. And when players do spend their military units to either attack or defend, anytime that you're doing that, it goes back into your tableau and needs to go through that whole cooldown process before you have access to it again. If you are attacked and you're not able to defend against it with your military, then you're going to have to start discarding some of your gold or overworking your population. But luckily, we then move into the production phase where players will then be able to activate each area of their kingdom from left to right, gaining the benefits and resources that their kingdom provides. The game continues like this until all the ages have completed, and then of course the player with the most victory points wins the game. And if you share my taste and think this one looks really cool, you can find a link to it in the description below, and of course click that notify me on launch button.